You ever have one of those mornings? Hey everybody, how's the weekend going? Got this 66 in the shop. Customers complaining that the brakes aren't working right, so we're gonna get it on the lift and take a peek at it, see what's up. It's definitely a very beautiful car. Got a 66. Not sure if this engine is original, but we did do a little bit of carburetor work a while back. Let's see if we can pop this off. There we go. There's a genuine Harold Deems rebuilt carburetor. He did all the plating. Not exactly, we didn't go with like the stock look, but I just definitely love that plating job. So we took care of that when we rebuilt the carb. And she's still running like a champ. I think we put a new fuel pump in there. The fuel pump we originally got for this thing had a blown diaphragm as well. But yeah, nothing special, just a little 327. It's got to be the original engine. You can tell by the little pad over there. So we're looking for a 27031. Should be the last of the VIN. Check it out in the passenger side here. They don't have them on the pillar like the newer cars. So here we go. 27031. So matching numbers on the block. And it is definitely a really pretty car. So it's a driver. He definitely does drive this thing. It has a little bit of a paint issue on the fender. I'm not sure if you can see that. A little bit of bubble in here. Paint hasn't split open, so he's actually looking to get this thing repainted, but he really has to pick a nice painter if he really wants to get this thing done right. But yeah, let's get this thing in the air. Oh, I think in the past I actually got a guy in Florida to redo the seat belts. You can kind of see him in there. Redid all the belts, so the brand new belts and all that. And they did the latches as well. But anyway, we're getting this thing in the air, and we'll take a look at the brakes on this thing, see if we can figure out why it's got a spongy pedal. So this is a four-wheel disc car. Looking at the calipers, seeing if I see any brake fluid leaks. Got a little bit of grease coming out of the tire rods, but that's perfectly fine. Look on the other side here. Looks dry. Looks like somebody put lines on it. Brake pads behind there look pretty good as well. Let's check out the back side. Got a little bit of oil seeping out of the trans. Looks like a valve cover's leaking as well. Could be all just dripping back. Hey, right there. See how that's wet? Yeah, so it would appear that that caliper is leaking. It's really wet on the inside there. Telltale sign you can see on the inside of the tire. You see a little bit of a residue. So we'll be putting brake calipers on this thing. See the other side. Other side looks good. It's got a fiberglass spring. Make it ride a little nicer. But yeah, it's just in good shape. If you've ever seen how the exhaust comes out through the bumpers, kind of cool. I believe he says one of these was sitting a little low, so we're gonna see what we can do. I don't think anything looks bent out of shape. Those tips are just welded, but yeah, we'll have to take a look at it. Yeah, you can really see on that rotor how wet it is. So now the original design on these calipers, they had what's called a lip seal, and it's basically a design of the way that the piston has a seal inside the bore. The lip seal kind of have a flared end if you were to do a cutaway section, and you know, like rubber just tends to deform a little bit over the years. So especially with something like this, if it sits a lot, that rubber can kind of sag down and it seeps the fluid out. So in order to keep that from happening, the deformation of the rubber seal, you really got to drive it and apply the brakes at least, keep them active. If you don't, this is typically what happens. Now these may be original calipers. Now you can get these original ones rebuilt. You can get new replacements right now. Under time constraints, neither of those are going to work for us, so we actually have some remanufactured calipers that'll fit on this thing, and we opted for the upgraded O-ring style. Now the O-ring seals are basically what's in all modern cars. They're really nice because you can let the car sit for long periods of time. You don't have to worry about them leaking. So I guess it's about time to get these calipers off there, get the new ones on. Got some parts in stock. Just some standard Bendix ceramic pads. We've got the left caliper, right caliper for the rear, as well as some new hard lines, because I noticed those hard lines are a little rusty. Then we also picked up some new rubber hoses, because the front's been done, so we might as well do the rear. So let's get these parts thrown up on there and bleed the brakes. Should be good to go. So now we're gonna have to take out the clips. One of them's here, and the other is on the back side of here. Of course. Alright, so now what I like to do is take this line out so we're all set. Here are my two lines. Let's see, this is the passenger side. It kicks out towards the caliper when it's installed. Looks like the one. Got a little rubber cap on the end there just to keep it from leaking everywhere. So let me just throw this in real quick. So got a 5/8 wrench behind there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick this guy down in there. Get it threaded on by hand. They also offer a stainless version of this, but the stainless can be a little bit problematic because stainless is a harder material, so it may mess with your sealing. I'm not going to go full tight on it yet because I'm going to have to break this loose, but for right now, without any pressure in there, that should seal it up temporarily. We'll leave that wrench on there as a reminder. So now we got our steel line, there's no slack in it. And of course we've got the end capped off. So now all I got to do is throw the caliper on there. But first I'm going to have to degrease this rotor. So here on the tool cart we got the new caliper. I like to write O-ring on there in case in the future if I have one of these leak, I know to get an O-ring caliper. You can tell by the piston color if you know the manufacturer. If it's an O-ring or a lip seal, they change the piston color, so anodizing on them. These are black, and then the boot style is a little different as well. So we'll go ahead and get these prepared and install them real quick. I'll show you how I do it. So you want to pull this pin out. This pin is supposed to face the wheel. They ship with a foam block on the inside of the caliper, and that's to keep these pistons intact. So a lot of times when you end up pulling this foam block out, the pistons will depress and it makes it kind of hard to get the caliper installed. So what I like to use is a vacuum device here. This one's powered by Shop Air. So a few tips. You know, this hose here has a line on it. You don't want to have any twists in it. You want to just install it as straight as possible. That'll keep this line nice and healthy for a long time. You can kind of see on the corner here, it's a white line, and it basically stays on the same plane. So, made in the USA by Americans with Goodyear fubber. The lines back here, you want to kind of wiggle them around. Just make sure they're not contacting on the caliper anywhere. This is basically how they'll sit. You know, just make sure it's got like a few mil of clearance without actually hitting the caliper itself, as well as the trailing arm. I mean, it's not the end of the world if it is, but it'll wear through prematurely. So just be careful of that. And yeah, the only thing left on this side to do is bleed them. There you go. This side's done. Time to do the other side. Alright, so one thing I wanted to mention, you're going to want to check these rotors for runout. If they are the original rotors, you may notice these little circles here. These are actually rivets, so they're riveted to the spindle. You can't get to the e-brake unless you drill these rivets out. Now, being that we're only replacing the brakes on this car because there is a leak, I'm not going to go ahead and remove the rotor. Parking brake just works fine. I did put a dial indicator on the rotor, and it is very true. It is in spec, so we don't have to do anything. If you do have to turn these and you don't want to take them off, I mean, if you basically you just center punch them, you have to drill these rivets out, and then once they're out, you can use an air hammer and knock out the other side of the rivet from the hub. But yeah, since we're not going to be changing these out, I put a dial indicator on there, and it is within spec, so we're not worried about it. If you do have to cut these rotors, you can either cut them on car with an on car brake lathe, or you could go ahead and drill them out and remove the rotor and then do it that way. But yeah, I just got done bleeding the brakes, so I guess I'm going to take it out for a spin, see how they feel. Here we go. Brakes work. No power steering, you really gotta get moving before you end up turning the wheel. Turn signal works. Oh, we got some rocks. Oh, let's try to avoid them. Man, nothing shifts nicer than a 4-speed Muncie, I swear. Thing goes in like butter. Already in 4th gear, going 30 miles an hour. Definitely could use an extra gear. Why can't Muncie make a 6-speed? It would be the best selling transmission ever. Muncie's a little cold still. This thing drives nice. Gotta love that sound on that shifter. That Muncie shifter is just smooth and precise. Shift it with one hand. Oh my god, they are coming up quick over here. You ever get a sense of deja vu? Have you done this before? Also lowered the idle because the customer was saying it was idling a little high, and then the other thing was his brake light switch wasn't working, so I cleaned that up, got it working, and I believe thirdly his exhaust was hanging low on the driver's side, so I readjusted that. So main focus was the brakes, but we did a couple other things, and brakes feel good. The road's a little uneven right here, but yeah, it brakes pretty true and straight. Look at that, just put it in 4th, take off and drive it, no problem. Alright. I mean, this is a massive wheel. No power steering. Drives good though.